lever, and we are off and running at the world's strongest man.
The strongman competition is the strongest men in America and in the world laying it on the line to find out who's the strongest in the world.
To be the strongest man in the world would be one of the pinnacles of athleticism. You've accomplished something that maybe nobody else has done, or you've done it in a way that maybe nobody else has done.
It's about 14 days of injury, sweat, blood, and tears.
I think the World's Strongest Man contest is something that is unusual, unorthodox, and it takes a very special athlete to compete in it.
For me, it'd be a tremendous honor to be the strongest man in the world.
Strongest Man competition, the ultimate test in human strength, U.S. Strongman Final. We will return to the log lift in just a moment, but right now we want to take this opportunity to introduce ourselves. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Todd Harris, joined by arguably the strongest man in the history of the world. I'm talking about three-time World's Strongest Man champion, Bill Kazmaier. Bill, before we move on in this event, let's talk about the competition.
Well, Todd, you've selected 8 athletes from across America, a shot putter, an Olympic lifter, a bunch of power lifters, and Highland Games athletes who are probably the strongest from America. They're going to test themselves in 12 different events. Not only strength head to toe, but endurance, athletic ability, and the ability to recover over those 12 events over 4 days. These boys are decathletes of strength and really believe they can be the strongest men in the world.
All right, we take the winner plus the runner-up, move them on to the World's Strongest Man competition. Right now, let's meet all of our competitors.
I'm Phil Martin from Ceres, California, and I am the strongest man in the world.
No stranger to strongman competitions, Phil Martin placed a top 10 finish in '95, arguably the best thrower of the lot. Las Vegas' own Mark Philippi, one of the more successful power lifters in the world, competing in his first World Strongman. From Fresno, California, bench press and strict curl specialist Ken Brown. The world record holder of strict curl looks to boast his talents here in Prim.
James Veronin, El Paso, Texas, and I'm the strongest man in the world.
A junior high school teacher by day, a world-class power lifter by night. Veronin looks to diversify his repertoire and hone in on this year's title. Not known for size, but his strength and endurance, Kevin Toth, an outstanding track and field athlete who stands as one of the nation's best shot putters.
I'm Tommy Inglesby from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm the strongest man in the world.
The all-around athlete who last year rose to the top of the weightlifting world with his American Open Championship victory. Tommy Inglesby, a former All-America football player from the University of Georgia. From Gaithersburg, Maryland, Gary Mitchell, who will draw upon his vast experience in powerlifting as well as strongman competitions. A veteran who has been waiting a lifetime for this chance. Native American Chief Iron Bear Collins, the 42-year-old veteran, finds his best strength inward from the heart. Like the others, he also proudly proclaims,
I am the world's strongest man.
Our next competitor, Kevin Toth, attempting 285.
This event takes overall body strength to get the log just to the shoulders, and then deltoids and triceps to get it all the way to the top.
Kevin Toth unsuccessful at 285, Bill, and from the start, the feet were moving a lot.
Yeah, balance has really been a factor here for him. Trying to get his legs into it just didn't work out for him.
Our next competitor to step up to the log, this is Ken Brown from Fresno, California at 285.
You see Ken has terrific technique to get the log up to his shoulders, and he's so strong overhead.
So a successful lift for Ken Brown at 285. Perfect technique. The next man to attempt this Herculean task will be James Veronin out of El Paso, Texas. This is 285. Now, Bill, this is not a conventional clean and jerk. It's rather awkward.
No, and you can see here where it looks like Jim's having a hard time. He's trying to curl the log up to his chest and just doesn't have a technique developed yet.
So Veronin will bow out at 285, and this may be a survival thing, Bill.
Right, with 11 events left, it's probably best that he just backs off right now.
Our next competitor comes to us from Las Vegas, Nevada, the strength coach at UNLV, Mark Philippi, at 285. And, Bill, this is someone you really have your eye on.
Yeah, Mark's got a lot of overall body strength. If he can get a good clean here, I'm sure he's got the upper body strength to press it right overhead.
So Mark Philippi is successful at 285, but it wasn't without a bit of a struggle at the end, Bill.
So you can see where he uses overall body power and deltoids, and then has to wait just a little bit till his triceps kick in.
Our next man stepping up to the mat from North Carolina, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. This guy has the whole package. 285 shouldn't be too difficult for him.
No, Todd, he's a spiritual man. You can see him right now drawing in power from above just before he approaches the event.
Well, Iron Bear Collins is a complete package. Mentally and physically, he has it all. And this is a guy you think may move on and do quite well in the World Finals.
That's right, Todd. He does have really great technique. He's got a lot of experience from around the world in the big competitions. Barring serious injuries, he should do really well.
Well, Bill, as you predicted, no problem for Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins at 285. When we come back, we will have more of the log lift. Plus, coming up later in the show, the showgirl lift, as the world's strongest man rolls on from Primm, Nevada. Stay with us. We are at the world's strongest man competition, the log lift. As the weight increased, the field would thin out. Phil Martin attempting a 285-pound lift would fall. But Tommy Inglesby, the Olympic lifter, continued to shine. As did Ken Brown, but not without a struggle. Mark Philippi would stay in the mix by putting up a 305-pound log. Gary Mitchell would not only miss his attempt at 305, but would injure his bicep while doing so. And then there was veteran Iron Bear Collins, who, with little distress, would move on to the next weight change. Well, the log is now at 321 pounds, Bill, and this is really where it gets precarious. Technique is mandatory.
If Philippi and Collins both have great technique, Tommy's technique here, if he uses a squat clean, there's a chance he could miss. It works in Olympic lifting, but not with a big cumbersome log like this.
Tommy Inglesby successful at 321. Any surprise for you, Bill?
Well, he hit that front squat clean just perfect, and that's what it took to make that lift.
So Tommy Inglesby is successful at 321. Ken Brown will also try the same weight.
Ken's got tremendous bicep strength. He's trying to use those biceps to curl the log without using proper technique. He's even using his leg to kick it up and just can't quite get it.
Well, like James Veronin, Ken Brown unable to get it up to the chest area, so he will bow out at 321. But an impressive start for Ken Brown, and he knows there's a lot of competition still to come. Our next competitor from Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Mark Philippi, 321.
You see, he's just just had to struggle quite a bit with that clean. Now he's holding the log on his chest. It's just taking a great deal out of him. Hopefully he's got enough. No, there it is. He just doesn't have enough to get it up over his chest. The longer he holds it, the less strength he's going to have. It's going to be tough to complete this lift.
Well, Mark Philippi gets it halfway up there, but can't finish it, as you pointed out, and that is such a cumbersome piece of apparatus they're working with.
It sure is. Lifting a bar is one thing, but lifting that big 321-pound log is something else.
So that takes us to Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. He will try 321, and this is such an impressive weight. Taking in the size of the log, the grip they're using, this is so unorthodox. Chief drawing on all the powers available.
He's using that visualization to see himself in his mind do this lift before he raises it up to his shoulders and presses it overhead. So easy for him. All his technique to the chest, plenty of chest, shoulder, and arm strength to press the log overhead.
So the Chief is successful at 321. The weight now goes up to a very impressive 335 pounds. The first man to attempt that will be Georgia's Tommy Inglesby, and this is a man who is very goal-oriented. He has made it this far, and he's looking for more.
To be crowned the strongest man in the world would just be an incredible honor. You know, one of my goals was to make the Olympic team, and I did that, and look forward to doing it again. And another one of my goals was to compete and actually win the World's Strongest Man contest, and that's what I plan on doing.
Well, the history is in the past for Tommy Inglesby. He's on a roll right now, but the present is in the form of a 335-pound log. Bill, this is going to be a tough lift for him, even for an Olympic lifter like himself.
Even if this is an Olympic bar, which he's done a great deal more weight, he's got to be able to rack the bar at the bottom. He just can't quite get it.
So Tommy Inglesby unsuccessful at 335. Now that puts the spotlight on Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. If he is able to hoist the 335 above his head for a good lift, he will take home the 10 points on this first event of the U.S. Strongman competition. Now, Chief, once again, going through this mental preparation, and this is really where he gathers a lot of his strength.
It's kind of a super sight that he's getting going here. He draws in that power like you're saying. When he gets his hands on that log, he's putting everything he's got into it.
And once Chief gets out of that super sight, he doesn't waste any time, does he?
No, he just bends down and pulls with all of his might. He's got good technique here where he takes it right to his shoulders.
So Chief Iron Bear Collins is successful at 335, and that gives him first place in the log lift. Impeccable technique to the chest. Then he just powers it above his head. So Chief Iron Bear gets the 10 points, first place in the log lift. He is standing by with Bill.
Congratulations, Iron Bear. You really look strong there. Tell us about the lift.
It was a very tough lift. And I'm ready for some more.
Thanks so much, Chief. Good job.
All right.
Thank you, Bill, and congratulations to Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins picking up the win and the 10 points. But we've still got 11 more disciplines to go as the World's Strongest Man competition continues from Primm, Nevada. Stay with us.
Strongest Man competition. Woo!
And this is where the showgirls are about to get set, literally. With one event down and a second about to begin, let's take a look at the other 10 events.
What's happening, everybody?
The Sumo Challenge.
The match is won by forcing your competitor out of the circle.
Or if your opponent touches the ground inside the circle.
What's happening, everybody?
The tire toss.
You get 3 attempts to throw a 35-pound automobile tire.
The furthest throw wins.
The barrel load.
6 barrels. Each weighing 240 pounds are placed into a pickup truck.
The first one done wins.
The hang time competition.
Competitors hang from a bar with both hands over a pool.
The last one hanging wins.
To the showgirl lift we go. First competitor will be Phil Martin.
This lift takes tremendous leg and low back strength. Phil Martin's going to try 770 pounds. He proves he's the man.
Phil Martin successful on his first attempt. When we come back to Primm, Nevada, we will have more of the world's strongest man competition. Stay with us. But Kevin Toth not so fortunate, bowing out at the 6:55 mark. Up goes the weight, and that would be it for Tommy Inglesby, who fails to put up 770 pounds. Mark Philippi pushes the rest of the group by nailing his attempt at 815 pounds. James Veronin upped the ante by squatting 865 pounds. Gary Mitchell, not quite up for the challenge, couldn't match that weight. He falls at 865. And now from Fresno, California, this is Ken Brown at 865. Bill, and this is one of your dark horses. You say this guy's got a lot of fire in his belly.
And he's got fire in his eyes, too. Watch him take this bar and go down and up with ease.
Just as you predicted, Bill, and he does it with so much speed.
He makes a total commitment here. When he goes down, he knows he's coming right back up.
So Ken Brown is successful at 865. He ups the ante. Next up, it will be Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. And once again, he goes through that mental preparation that is so important to him.
Just before he steps under that bar, he knows what he's going to do. He sees himself doing it. He tries to draw in all the power and all the strength from his body because he's got to maintain his form all the way to the bottom and then right back up without getting stuck.
So Brown and Collins both successful at 865. When we return, we'll have more of the showgirl lift. Stay with us. Welcome back. The showgirls were hanging on tight as more weight was put on the bar. For James Veronin, 910 would be the weight that knocked him out. Ken Brown was another athlete doomed at this weight. And our next competitor to try 910 pounds, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. And if anyone can do it, it's going to be this guy, Bill.
Bill Todd, he's got the ability to squat over 900 pounds with a bar. This rack is a little unusual, and balance is sometimes a factor, but he should be able to make it quite easily.
And like that, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins takes 910 down and back up again very cleanly. So it is now just Iron Bear Collins and Mark Philippi. And Mark Philippi now will bump it up.
Let's go! Go, big man, come on! Come on! It's like the last one. Let's go! Come on!
This is 955 pounds for Mark Philippi.
At this kind of weight, he just can't stop at the bottom. He's got to jam it up. He does it so easily.
No problem for Mark Philippi, 955 pounds, and that puts it all on Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins, and he has opted to bump it up one more weight to 1,000 even. Now, this is a calculated move on his part, isn't it?
He's got a lot to lose here. He's really got to bring a big psych with him. He's got to really know that he can do this lift, Todd.
Well, the Chief is putting the pressure on Mark Philippi. If he is successful here, he forces Philippi to go to the 1,000 weight class as well. Chief is ready to end it right here.
Come on, Chief. Come on, Chief. Come on, Harold. Come on, Harold. Come on. Let's win. Come on. Come on, Harold. Come on, man, Harold.
Now, Bill, this is a tremendous weight, 1,000 pounds. Is Chief capable of this?
Come on.
Chief's got it in him. He can squat this kind of weight. He's just got to be able to maintain his form.
Chief. Yeah. Come on, Harold. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Take the run. Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
Just too much weight.
So Mark Philippi claims the showgirl lift and the 10 points. The Chief makes a calculated gamble there, but he comes up a little bit short at 1,000 pounds. Mark Philippi, our winner in the showgirl lift. Our final results look like this. It is Mark Philippi out in front. He is followed by Harold Collins, then Ken Brown and James Veronin. Phil Martin, Gary Mitchell, Tommy Inglesby, and Kevin Toad. After two events, it is Harold Collins with a scant lead over Mark Philippi, but there is plenty of time for our other 6 competitors. Next on the World's Strongest Man, it's the hanging plunge. The last one hanging wins. Then, how high can you toss? The wall toss competition. For Bill Kazmaier, I'm Todd Harris. We'll see you next time. Welcome to Primm, Nevada, and the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final. Today we start with the hanging plunge. Hello, everybody. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier. Our first 2 competitors are heading up the ramp right now. Tommy Inglesby on the right, James Veronin on the left, and this could be the battle of the South. Inglesby from Georgia, Veronin from Texas. But, Bill, we talked about this earlier. It is all about grip and training yourself for this competition.
It truly is. You know, your everyday activity in the gym can increase your grip strength, but you have to train for this event, gripping a bar and holding a heavy weight for a long period of time to get greater grip strength.
And the bottom line is the last man hanging wins, but it is really them against the clock in this competition.
It is pretty much, and that clock's just going to tick away. You know, they've got to right now think about something other than the pain and fatigue in their forearms and their fingers, and just relax and hold on as long as they possibly can.
Now, on the surface, you would think the smaller man would have the advantage here, but that's not the case, is it?
Well, really, Todd, it's the lighter man, you would think that he should have an advantage, but it's the man who's trained his grip more, specifically for an exercise like this, who's the man that has the advantage. He's created his own advantage.
Well, it is somewhat tedious. James Veronin trying to go to a better place in his mind. Tommy Inglesby looks so relaxed right there.
Tommy told me before the event that he was going to take a drive around Atlanta. And the perimeter 285, as you know, goes around and around. He said he was just going to go in his car and forget about everything else.
Well, right now, Tommy Inglesby looks like he has the top down. James Veronin looking a little more fatigued at this point as they pass the 1-minute mark.
As you notice, too, that bar is smooth. It has no scratching or knurling on it, so it's really difficult to hold.
James Veronin looking like he's starting to slip there. They're chalked up, and Veronin goes down at about the 117 mark. Now, Tommy Inglesby will hang on. He is not going head-to-head with Veronin. As long as he can stay up there, that will be the time to beat. And it looks like his drive may be coming to an end.
He's holding on for all he's worth.
Tommy Inglesby drops at 1:42.34, and that will be the time to beat.
You guys, next
We will return to the hanging plunge in just a moment. Hello again, everyone. Todd Harris, along with a 3-time World's Strongest Man champion, Bill Kazmaier. Bill, we've got 2 events in the books, one going on right now. What are the guys thinking about?
Well, they've got to really let it all hang out, Todd, and get as many points as they can. But yet they have to be just a little bit conservative because there's a lot left on the horizon.
Right now it is Chief Iron Bear out in front, but Mark Felipe right behind him.
Well, it's really no surprise that Chief took the log press and then came back in the squad and did really well. You know, he's had a lot of international experience, and anything that has to do with overall body strength, he's going to do really well. And Mark Felipe, he's a squat specialist. He did really well in that event. He's going to do well in every pulling event and anything that has to do with lower body strength. He's the hometown favorite, and those are our 2 leaders right now.
And speaking of our 2 leaders, Bill, next up it is Mark Felipe and Chief Iron Bear Collins. They will make their way out onto the gangplank. Now, this one is a tough one to call. Both men similar in size and stature, but as you pointed out, this is where the gym work comes into effect.
You're right, Todd. Each of these guys have tremendously powerful builds, but in an event like this, just by looking at these guys, you really can't tell what kind of grip strength they're going to have. The size of forearm isn't going to make that much of a difference. It's how much they've trained that grip. And we're not going to see how their grip really is until about a minute and 10 seconds, when we see those fingers start to slip a little bit.
On the left side of your screen, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. On the right side, Mark Felipe. The time to beat, 142.34. That was put up by Tommy Inglesby. And right off the bat, look at Mark Felipe. He is going to a quiet place.
He sure is. With all that upper body muscle on both of these fellows, it sort of looks like their heads are almost being pinched.
So far, the Chief and Mark both looking very good. It looks like Mark has got a little less of a wingspan, so he's closer to the bar. Will that give him any advantage whatsoever?
It doesn't really look like it. He might be just a little bit more comfortable. He sure looks like he's tuning in and zoning, getting into the zone.
Coming up on 1 minute, both competitors right now. No finger slippage. Both of them look very comfortable, but as you pointed out, at 1 minute, and there it is, the Chief is starting to feel the pain.
But it's at this point where you really need to collect all your strength and still try to relax and concentrate on that finger strength.
To the right, Mark Felipe has got a little wider of a hold on the bar, and it looks like that is really benefiting him in comfort factor. And the Chief drops at about 119, so Mark Felipe continues to hang on. Chief goes out at 119. He is trying to overtake 142 and Tommy Inglesby, and now you start to see the pain on his face.
So strong.
Oh, and just as soon as Bill says that, he drops at 135. So he comes up 7 seconds short of Inglesby, but that will put him into second place right now. The Chief going down at about 119. Coming up, more hanging plunge, and oh yeah, the wall toss later in the show.
Both hands over a pool.
The last one hanging wins.
Welcome back to the World's Strongest Man, U.S. Strongman Final. Heat number 3 paired Phil Martin and Ken Brown. Martin, a big guy, would lose his grip first. However, Brown took a splash just seconds later. But Brown's time would be a good enough time to keep him in it. Next up, it would be Kevin Toth and Gary Mitchell. These guys were evenly matched in size, but it's all about grip strength. Toth, showing good form, would be the last one hanging. He would post an impressive time of 124.39. Good enough to move into the challenge heat, but he would pass and save himself for the 9 grueling events still ahead. Al Connolly, the event coordinator, is getting the athletes ready for that challenge heat.
The time is ready.
Our current leader, Tommy Inglesby, sitting with a 142.34. Bill, how is this challenge match going to work?
Well, you can see these 3 athletes lined up. If they can better their time, they can maybe move up a notch and get an extra point. It might help them and give them an advantage to have 3 guys up there if the apparatus can hold that kind of weight.
So technically, they have nothing to lose here.
Nothing at all, except their pride. And each of these guys are really tough competitors. To go 2 times in a row like this within just a few minutes to try to better their times. They think by maybe changing their hand grip and maybe going someplace else in their mind to relax and draw on more strength and realize now it is so important to get another point and maybe beat Tommy Inglesby.
Tommy Inglesby watching very carefully. 142.34 is the time to beat, and they are about a minute away, and right now the hands are just beginning to start to burn.
42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52.
Hal Connolly counting down in the background to give our athletes an idea about where they stand. That's not helping the pain at all as they approach the 1 minute mark, which means, Bill, they still have some 42 seconds to hang.
3, 4,
like you say, that pain in their hands, that burning in all their muscles, it isn't much of a consolation to fall into that water. It doesn't help the burning a bit.
13, 14.
Mark Philippi on the left, starting to shift his weight a little bit. Ken Brown looking like he's having some problems. He will drop at about the 116 point. That leaves Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins, who also dropped at 121. Let's see if Mark Philippi can hang on. He's got about another 15 seconds, and Tommy Inglesby is just hoping that he drops.
32.
And that is it. Philippi goes into the water at 132, so the king of the hanging plunge and possibly the strongest grip in the land is Tommy Inglesby. His time of 142.34 is good enough to take the title.
Mark tried the best he could to increase his time. He fell about 10 seconds short, but there's the man with the strongest grip. What a feat of strength.
Our final standings look like this in the hanging plunge competition. Tommy Inglesby out in front, followed by Mark Philippi, Kevin Toth, Harold Collins rounds out in 4. Then it's Brown, Baronin, Martin, and Gary Mitchell. After 3 events, Mark Philippi is out in front, but only by 0.5. The rest of the pack hot on his heels. Coming up next, it is the wall toss as the world's strongest man continues from Primm, Nevada. Welcome back to the world's strongest man competition, U.S. Strongman Final. We're in the thick of the desert, 30 miles south of Las Vegas. This is Primm, Nevada. Our next event is the wall toss. And here's my partner, Bill Kazmaier, with an explanation.
The object of this event is to take this barrel weighing 30 pounds and toss it over this wall with a starting height of over 15 feet. The height of the wall will be raised with every round. This barrel is extremely wide. It's going to favor the taller man. The shorter man is going to have a hard time swinging it between his legs and getting adequate power to get it over the wall. It's been quite a while since I've tossed one of these. What do you say I give it a go? Yeah!
Nice job, Bill, and 8 feet to spare. I think you might have to consider a comeback. Our first competitor on the wall toss from Gaithersburg, Maryland, this is Gary Mitchell, and he will be attempting 18 feet, 1 inches. Now, Bill, the wind is blowing from behind the wall. How much an effect will that have?
Todd, I don't think that's going to have all that much of an effect. Once this barrel starts to get its trajectory backwards, the wind's really not going to affect it.
Gary Mitchell clearing the 18 feet, 1 inches, no problem, despite a possible torn bicep. Let's have a look at the technique.
You can see Gary's got to swing that barrel really smooth, and it all comes down to the release.
There is Gary Mitchell with his wife, Amanda, who is one of his biggest supporters.
My wife and son back me 110%.
Come on, Gary. All right now. Come on, let's go. Still warming up. Come on, Gary.
It's very difficult. We've been working at this for a very, very long time. He has a lot of expectations. I think he's going to do fairly well.
without them, I probably would not be here. My wife bends over backwards to really make sure I do whatever I need to do to accomplish my goal.
And lofty goals they are. Gary wants to be the strongest man in the world. His wife is his biggest supporter, his coach, his confidant. She's always there helping him.
This is Tommy Ingoldsby's second attempt at 19, and it does not go over. Really close there. And as you pointed out, the taller man has the advantage, but he did not have the technique on that throw.
He didn't, Todd. It seems like he just wasn't able to get that synchronization on when to release. He let it go just a little bit early.
This is Phil Martin at 19 feet. Not a problem. He clears that one with ease. And look at the determination on Phil Martin's face.
Phil's in the zone again, isn't he? He's quite a competitor. What a warrior.
As the wall gets a little higher, we'll take a break. We'll be back to Primm for more of the world's strongest man. Stay with us. State Line, home to the Primadonna Resort and Casinos, where you can practically do everything. Round, James Veronin on his second attempt to clear the wall at 19 feet 11 inches, barely made it, and boy did he celebrate. This toss was enough to land him in a 5th place finish. Kevin Toth was the next to attempt 19 feet 11 inches. Once again, no problem, and again, a lot of excitement. Toth would take 4th place. Took his shot at 19 feet 11 inches, but couldn't get it up and over. Phil Martin was another competitor doomed at this height. But not Mark Philippi. This height was no problem for him. Iron Bear Collins followed and cleared the wall with ease. That's where we stand now. Only 3 competitors left. Gary Mitchell is up, and the wall is set at 20 feet 10 inches high.
With Amanda giving her encouragement, we can see that Gary's got a real wide foot stance, using those big legs for the power. The smooth swing, it'll probably go right over.
Oh, and you are right. Gary Mitchell, much to the delight of his wife, gets it over the top. Didn't look like he had much problem with that at all.
Next time you're not going to rap until they call your name, okay?
Gary Mitchell getting some TLC there. This is Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins at 20 feet 10 inches, and so far he has looked flawless.
Got such tremendous strength and confidence when he's throwing this barrel over the wall. You can see him extend and drive with those powerful legs all the way to the tips of his toes. These are our leaders, and my buddy Todd got a chance to see how strong men fuel up.
For the world's strongest men, the old adage is true: you are what you eat, and they are a lot. Obviously, nutrition plays a pivotal role in their success. They put out a lot, so they've got to put a lot back in.
All right, guys, world's strongest men are here, and they're ready to hit the buffet.
Oh, my man.
All right, men. Let's eat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You guys want 2 plates? Mark, you want another plate?
I'm good.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, I think I'll have 2 scoops of potatoes tonight, okay? Because I'm hungry.
This is digestion. Come on.
That looks like about a whole chicken.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Colonel will be proud of you, Chief.
Food is an important part of every diet.
Watch how fast this guy can drink milk. Thirsty?
More food, please.
Boy, can these guys eat.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'll have what he's having.
Todd, I can tell you from personal experience, the amount of calories those guys are throwing down, they're burning up really fast.
This is Gary Mitchell at 21.4, and just not quite enough today.
Well, you can see that biceps really hurting him. I'm quite surprised that he's still trying to throw in the competition. It's got to hurt him later on.
He will bow out at 21 feet 4 inches. Coming up next, our two leaders will duel it out on the wall toss. Stay with us. More World's Strongest Man from Primm, Nevada after this. Welcome back to Primm, Nevada, and the World's Strongest Man, U.S. Strongman Final. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier. Our final two competitors, Chief Iron Bear Collins and Mark Philippi. First up, it'll be the Chief at 22 feet 3 inches.
Chief Iron Bear getting a big psych here. He's got tremendous overall body power, and he uses every ounce of it to put this barrel over the wall.
Oh, up and over the Chief. You know, he only takes 2 swings at it, but right now that formula seems to be working for him just fine.
Chief Iron Bear is so big and powerful. As he stands underneath this wall, he swings so hard, but yet he's so smooth and has a beautiful release. How do you feel?
So next up will be Mark Philippi from Las Vegas, Nevada. He will try to do what the Chief just did, 22 feet 3 inches.
Mark's quite a bit shorter, but he's just so flawless in his technique and so powerful. He extends, and that barrel just looks like it'll go on forever.
And that backspin is just beautiful, just creeping over the bar. Now it is decision time. Will Mark Philippi continue to go up with the Chief? The Chief now attempting 22 feet 8 inches, so we have raised the bar some 5 inches.
Chief's trying to get his foot position just right so that he doesn't do anything different than his last throw. All he wants to do is throw just a little bit harder.
And the Chief having no problem there, Bill.
That sure looked like it worked for him. Tremendous power.
Chief Iron Bear just wooling it over the top, and he cleared it with room to spare. This is Mark Philippi at 22.8.
Mark is such a strong man. He uses all of his power to launch that barrel over the wall.
So Collins and Philippi both clear 22 feet 8 inches in the hot desert, and the Chief says, add another one. He is going for the kill on this one. And right here, Bill, he is really putting a lot of pressure on himself, isn't he?
Right, Todd. He's got to make it. If he doesn't make the 23 feet 5 inches on his next attempt, it could be over.
Well, Mark Philippi pretty much knows he is not going to attempt this, and he won't have to if the Chief doesn't make it. So this is Harold Iron Bear Collins going for 23 feet 5 inches. He has 2 attempts. Oh, and he comes up just short on that, Bill. And for Mark Philippi, he could win this, edge out the Chief by virtue of having less misses.
That's right. But at 23 feet and 5 inches, his form seems to be falling apart out there in the hot sun. He's going to have to pull everything together for one more attempt to get that extra point.
All right, the Chief brought this on himself. He is going for 23 feet 5 inches. This is his second attempt, and it really comes down to this final throw. The Chief comes up short on his second attempt, but he gave it a great try.
You can see just awesome power. He just let go of the barrel a little bit too early. It didn't go over.
So Harold Collins makes a calculated gamble out here in the Nevada desert. He comes up just a little bit short and loses out on that last point. The win goes to Mark Philippi. He is followed by Harold Collins and Gary Mitchell. And after 4 events, it is Philippi and Collins out in front, but there are still 8 more events to come and a very hungry pack right behind our leaders. California state line, Primm, Nevada, the host of the World's Strongman competition. Welcome to the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final. We're almost halfway through the competition, and today 2 classic disciplines, the grueling iron bar bend, but first, it's the Flintstone lift. Hello, everybody. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier, our first contestant, Tommy Inglesby. Tommy Inglesby does it with little effort. And next up to the podium for the 500-pound lift will be Kevin Toth.
We know Kevin Toth has got a little bit of a back problem, and he does not deadlift. So this is not going to be such an easy event for Kevin Toth.
And unfortunately, Kevin Toth is unable to convert. And we will return to the Flintstone lift momentarily. Hello, everybody. Todd Harris walking a very fine line in the Nevada desert next to my broadcast colleague, 3-time world's strongest man, and arguably the strongest man in the history of the world, standing in California, Bill Kazmaier. Bill, before we move any farther, we've got 4 grueling events down. Let's talk about recovery.
Well, Todd, you know these guys are highly conditioned athletes. They train to their ultimate probably twice every day, and they're never going to give up. Gary Mitchell is probably the one guy with an injury. His bicep is torn a little bit. He's the type of athlete, though, again, who's never going to throw in the towel. And Chief Iron Bear, he strained his abdominals, he strained his low back, but as a veteran, you'll see him there till the 12th event.
All right. Well, before we move any further in our competition, we want to bring you up to speed on what has taken place thus far. Our first event was the log lift, a discipline that demands exceptional technique and strength. It was Chief Iron Bear Collins winning with a weight of 335 pounds. The showgirl lift would follow, with Chief Iron Bear once again in the running. But he couldn't match the power of newcomer Mark Philippi, who impressed the field by squatting 955 pounds. Then came the hanging plunge, an event determined by grip strength. And it was Tommy Inglesby, an Olympic weightlifter, who was ecstatic to get this win under his belt, hanging for a total of 142.34. The 4th event took us out to the desert for the wall toss, where Amanda Mitchell would cheer on her husband Gary to a 3rd place finish and getting some much-needed points on the board. But it was Iron Bear Collins and Mark Philippi who battled to the end and eventually tied at 22 feet, 8 inches. But by virtue of having fewer misses, Mark Philippi was given the win. The overall results after 4 events are indicative of this, as Philippi holds a slight edge over the Chief. And it is Tommy Inglesby and Ken Brown still within striking distance. They could make that gap up today at the bar bend in the Flintstone lift, as could James Veronin, Kevin Toth, Gary Mitchell, and Phil Martin. We are back to our Flintstone lift. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier. This is Tommy Inglesby at 700 pounds, Bill. And is he going to break a sweat on this one?
Well, he should be able to lift it. He pulls 500 pounds in his cleans, so this should not be a problem for him.
Tommy Inglesby just not having it today at 700 pounds. That is a huge jump from the 500.
I surely thought he could have deadlifted this. He just doesn't work with those heavier poundages and isn't familiar with the deadlift.
So Tommy Inglesby fails at 700 pounds. He goes out at that weight. This is Phil Martin. He will now attempt the 700-pound lift.
He's done this kind of weight before. He should be able to pull this weight rather easily.
And Phil Martin unable to get the 700 pounds up, but he can still laugh about it.
He's staying in a good mood. He's kind of surprised, I think, because he's pulled over 800 pounds. He should be able to do this lift. I think his low back's hurting him, or he's just not in his best shape.
Our next competitor, one of our front runners, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins from North Carolina, attempting the 700-pound lift. Bill, explain the over-under grip technique to me.
Well, Chief's able to hold the bar a whole lot better with an over and under. When he's dragging the bar across those thighs, it creates a lot of friction, and you could drop the bar in a double over.
She's successful at 700 pounds, and I got to be honest with you, that looked really easy to him.
It sure was an easy lift. Gary Mitchell's up next. With that torn bicep, I hope he can hold on to this bar, but that's the muscle that's going to be really involved.
Amanda Mitchell, Gary's wife, cheering him on. Now, the arm has got to be a problem here. What does he do to try to minimize the effect of that?
Gary has taken an overgrip with his right arm to take the involvement of that bicep out of the lift. He's still going to be going through a great deal of pain in order to pull this deadlift.
This is Gary Mitchell at 700 pounds.
Come on, Gary. Get it out! Get it out! Come on!
Impressive, Bill. 700 pounds and a torn bicep to boot.
Such a fierce competitor, he'll never give up.
Stay with us. This is the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final Competition. And we will be back with the conclusion of the Flintstone Lift. And later in the show, the impossible, unbearable bar bend. Don't miss it.
Toughness is probably the key to success, because there will be times you may not want to go any further, but you know to reach the promised land of being the #1 man in the world, you have to.
I think the mental game's most of it. I think that's probably my strongest aspect. I'm not the biggest guy in the competition. I'm probably the smallest guy in the competition, but I believe I'm very mentally tough.
The mental aspect is probably the hardest. It's very hard to stay on an up, even keel, event after event after event.
I think physically all of us have probably been ready for several months. We're all top-of-the-line athletes. Mental is the biggest factor come game time. And if you're not there mentally, you'll never be ready.
Strongest Man Competition U.S. Strongman Final, and we're in the middle of the Flintstone Lift. Currently, the weight is 750 pounds. Earlier in this round, it was Chief Iron Bear showing no problems with this lift. Amanda Mitchell cheering her husband Gary Mitchell on, but with 750 pounds on the bar, Mitchell, who is hampered by a bad bicep, failed at this attempt. From the middle of the pack, Fresno, California's Ken Brown is still in contention. The next man to attempt 750 pounds is James Veronin from El Paso, Texas. And Bill, I got to think this guy is perfectly suited for this competition.
He sure is. He's got long arms. He's got pretty short legs, pretty short back. He's a great deadlifter, but this would just prove to be too much for him.
750 pounds, a little too much for James Veronin, but he makes it all the way to 750, and he'll pick up some much-needed points. Next up, Mark Philippi, 750 pounds for him, and this guy is a strength coach at UNLV, so I got to figure he is going to just jerk this right up.
Mark, he's a wonderful power lifter. He's good in all three lifts, especially this deadlift.
And like the man he is, Mark Philippi lifts 750 pounds. Philippi is a newcomer to the World Strongman Competition, but so far he is making his mark.
Being the strongest man in the world would be very important to me, just because not everybody can do it. Not everybody wants to pay the price to do it. Not everybody wants to work hard enough to do it. I train athletes for my living, and I like to push them, and I like to push myself also. But I have the facilities where I can do a lot of the events at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I think that gives me an advantage. My wife should get a medal. she's very supportive of what I'm doing and very understanding to the needs of the training. Hopefully, the size differential doesn't make a difference. The smallest guy in the competition wins the competition. It sounds good to me.
Mark Philippi enjoying somewhat of a home field advantage, living and training just 40 miles to the north of Primm.
Next up is Ken Brown with the same weight, 750 pounds. Very easy lift. He looks like he's good for more.
Ken Brown very quick when he gets up there, Bill. He jumped right on that weight, 750. Philippi knows he's in for a fight.
Ken reminds me of myself in my younger days. He's got a lot of fire in his eyes and could be the strongest man. Chief Iron Bear here taking 800 pounds in the Flintstone deadlift.
Well, Chief had no problem with 750 pounds, so we'll see how he does with the 800-pound Flintstone lift. Remember now, we're only taking 2 to the World Strongman final, and right now it looks like Philippi, Brown, and Collins could be our top 3.
With an awkward implement like this Flintstone deadlift, you have to have total commitment when you go to lift that bar off the floor. I just don't think the Chief got his hips down and threw his head back and gave it his all.
Our next competitor, and quite possibly Las Vegas' strongest resident, Mark Philippi.
He's built like a deadlifter. He trains like a power lifter. I expected him to do well in this event.
That's Mark Philippi going where few men have gone before, 800 pounds in the Flintstone lift.
Total concentration, total commitment, maintaining his form through the lift, and an easy lift it was.
Got more than
So that puts it all on Fresno's Ken Brown. And Bill, do you think he can do it?
Look in those eyes. I think he knows he can do it. He's made a commitment to do it. Let's see if he can.
Oh, and Ken Brown comes up a little short. The mind was there, the technique a little short. Mark Philippi wins the Flintstone lift, clearing 800 pounds on his way to victory. So it is Mark Philippi winning the Flintstone lift, followed by Ken Brown and the Chief tied for second. James Veronin and Gary Mitchell tied for fourth. After 5 events, it looks like this. Mark Philippi out in front, Harold Collins close behind, Ken Brown and Tommy Inglesby giving chase, and then there's 4 more very hungry competitors in Veronin, Mitchell, Toth, and Martin. Let's go down to Bill Kazmaier, who's with our winner.
Mark, you're taking the strongman by storm. Did you expect to do so good?
Well, not really. You know, I expected to do well, but just trying to do as well as I can and everything, try and gain a little lead, because it's a long competition, as you know. This event I expected to do well in. There's a few surprises earlier that I had, but it's a long competition, so we got a long way to go.
We'll be back with more World's Strongest Man after this. Check out the rippin', twistin', crispin' styling of McCain Super Spiral. Home to the Prima Donna Resort and Casinos, where you can practically do anything. Welcome back to World's Strongest Man and the grueling Iron Bar Bend.
Now at the 5/8 inch bar, this is where things really start to get tough.
At this level, it was Veronin, Martin, and Chief making the bend within 8 inches. Tommy Inglesby, however, was unable to close the bend to within 8 inches.
He could have used the technique behind his head. If he would train his pectorals more, he probably could have been successful there. but he elected to push just with his arms, which wasn't enough to complete it.
So our next round go in the 5/8-inch bar. This will be Ken Brown from Fresno, California. Next to him, Kevin Toth. Also in this round, Gary Mitchell. And remember, he has the torn bicep. And our current leader, Mark Philippi from Las Vegas, Nevada.
You see Gary Mitchell with a lot of towels on top of his head. He's going to try not to use that bicep, but just use his lats to pull down. That's going to be extremely difficult to bend this bar. Ken's pulling really hard with a lot of towels on top. It's that first bend that gets this bar going. Gary's in a really dangerous position when he tries to push those pectorals inward. He can get an injury very easily.
Mark Philippi gets it within that 8 inches and a little more. Gary Mitchell struggling. It looks like Ken Brown is going to make the cut. Kevin Toth having all kinds of problems.
If I was Kevin Toth, I'd stop right now. And Gary Mitchell should probably pull out for fear of that bicep.
So Gary Mitchell struggling, Kevin Toth struggling. Philippi and Brown are in. But these guys are tenacious, Bill. They are not giving up.
Well, they're those kind of athletes. They're just going to stay in there right to the end. And probably sacrifice their body if they have to.
And Gary Mitchell still going after it. The expression on his face speaks for itself. This is what the world's strongest man is all about. Stay with us for more of the world's strongest man from Trim, Nevada.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
Can we order pizza?
Okay. Time for McCain.
Introducing new McCain Rising Crust Pizza. The new pizzeria pizza from McCain with a rising crust that bakes up.
It would be James Veronin, Phil Martin, and Chief Iron Bear Collins to tackle the fourth and final bar. They would all three lack the strength to complete the bend of this bar. But it would be Veronin who bent the bar the furthest, 47 3/8 inch.
None of the competitors came even close to bending this steel bar. A measurement was taken to find the winner.
So James Veronin must sit and wait to find out if Brown and Philippi, who will be tackling the same bar he did, can bend it any further. And Phil, this bar is enormous.
It's really a tough bar. You can see all they can use is their lat strength pulling down across their head. It seems with Veronin's heavy neck, he was able to stack more towels on his head and pull down harder and use those heavy lats to bend the bar.
Now, not only do they have to use physical strength, but mental strength and intestinal fortitude at this point. This is just flat out a grueling event.
6 minutes spot. Watch that neck. Hold that.
Each of these athletes are making a total commitment right here. You can see that their necks and heads are moving forward and back. They're pulling just as hard as they can.
And Mark Philippi decides that is enough.
He's given all he's got, and I think he stopped before any serious injury came in.
Ken Brown still going at it. He looks like he's going to give it one more pull.
Pulling as hard as he can just to try to bend that bar a little bit more and gain an extra point.
Ken Brown kicks out. He is done and completely spent. James Veronin looks on, and now the only thing left is the measurement.
But a tremendous effort by Ken Brown. He's pulling with all he's got of his biceps, his back. He's straining his whole body just to bend this a couple more centimeters.
Well, the measurements are going on right now, and James Veronin just hoping he can pull off this win. What a grueling event. It'd be a great finish to a strong day for him. And it is official. James Veronin wins. His 47 3/8 inch holds up in the iron bar bend.
We saw a really gutsy performance by Jim Veronin in the bar bend, and a really great Flintstone deadlift by Mark Felipe.
Our results in the iron bar bend are as follows. It is James Veronin taking home the 10 points. Phil Martin, Mark Philippi tie for second. Ken Brown and Harold Collins tie for fourth. We have a very tight race for the top spot after 6 events. Mark Philippi and Harold Collins doing battle, but you do not want to count out the rest of the pack. We still have 6 events still to come. Next on World's Strongest Man, the event we've all been waiting for, a Strongman Classic.
The bus pull.
The object.
To pull a 33,000-pound bus down the length of the course.
The fastest time wins. You're racing against the clock.
And the grueling Farmer's Walk. As we head into the home stretch of the U.S. Strongman Final. For Bill Kazmaier, I'm Todd Harris. We will see you next time. Out in the Nevada desert, 8 men vie for the world's ultimate strongman title. Our leader after 6 events.
Mark Philippi, Las Vegas, and I am the strongest man in the world.
A contention that is shared with the man in second place, Chief Iron Bear Collins.
I am the world's strongest man.
Our man in 8th place, Kevin Toth, along with the rest of the field, are battling for the title of this year's World's Strongest Man. We welcome you to Primm, Nevada, the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier, 6 events down, 6 more events to go, and the next event on tap, Bill, the very grueling Farmer's Walk.
And Jim Veronin's going to have to test his fitness to see if he can hold on. Ken Brown has a great grip and a really tough attitude. Gary Mitchell has a bicep pull, and this is going to be his ultimate test of strength to see if he can even finish. And Phil Martin, he's rather tall and should have an advantage, especially with his international experience.
Well, you've seen their placings thus far in the competition, and this is going to be a very difficult event. It is against the clock, 250-pound cylinders in each hand, each man trying to make it all the way through the course. And, Bill, this is a true test of survival.
It sure is. Phil Martin's taking an early lead here. Let's just hope he can hold on all the way through the course. He's really smoking this event.
Phil Martin is totally motoring down the course. He is coming up towards the end. Ken Brown looking good, a little slower. And right towards the end, oh, and Phil Martin drops the cylinders, Bill. He comes up about 3 feet short.
I just seem to be walking away. Here comes Ken Brown. Slow but sure. The tortoise and the hare story. Looks like he's going to finish all the way through the course.
Ken Brown comes across at 28.91. Phil Martin picks up his cylinders. He finishes the course. All that's left is Gary Mitchell and James Veronin, and at this point, the grip has just got to be nothing there.
Oh, look at Gary's body. He's struggling so much. His grip is gone. His overall body strength is just gone. He's trying to convince himself that this is so important to pick these cylinders up again and keep going.
Well, they do get points for distance, but this is the epitome of cumbersome. 250 pounds in each hand.
This is just such a tough event. Gary's pushed himself all the way to the limit. He just can't draw on his strength anymore to keep going in the race.
Balance and strength all here, and it looks like James Veronin is going to give it one more try. James Veronin calls it quits there. Gary Mitchell, he is still on course, and I don't think he has much left either. Folks, let me give you a little inside tip. When you come to Primm, Nevada, leave the car at home and forget about the Farmer's Walk. This is the way to go. These things are luxury liners, holds 58 people, air-conditioned. Carl will get you to wherever you want to go, and we're moving. Carl, what's the deal?
It's not me, Todd. It's him.
Unbelievable. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm trying to do some TV work, and I got to deal with this. Bill, buddy. Ho. Partner, I'm doing some TV work. What's the deal?
I'm getting ready for the bus pull.
Bill, you're not competing this year.
Oh, come on. I really miss pulling these 36,000-pound buses. The ultimate test of strength. The guys are really looking forward to this event coming up later in the show.
Yeah, I bet they are. We'll get my partner in harness, and we'll be back in the desert with more strongman competition right after this.
I first started on a rink just like this.
Elvis Stoico knows what it takes to be a champion.
It takes hard work to deliver a top performance.
Like McCain Frozen Punch delivers the real fruit taste of real fruit juice for champions like Elvis Stoico. McCain Frozen Punch in a choice of thirst-quenching flavors like grape, orange, and fruit punch. So get the jump-on taste, the year-round taste of real fruit juice in McCain Frozen Punch.
McCain, now that's top taste performance.
TSN's Season of Champions delivers bonus coverage. Catch 3 draws daily from the Scott Tournament of Hearts in Regina and the Labatt Friar in Winnipeg. Then, it's championship excitement at the World Juniors in Thunder Bay and 8 red-hot days at the Ford World Championships in Kamloops. Curling's Season of Champions. See it and live it on TSN.
Strength really fascinates me. It doesn't matter what kind of lifting it is. But it feels really good to be able to do something that somebody else can't do.
I don't know if there are limits. I think we're lifting a lot of weight and moving a lot of heavy objects, but it's getting heavier and heavier all the time. So I'm not sure we'll reach the limits. We're getting close, but they keep pushing the human body a little bit farther, and it keeps going.
For battle, and whatever happens, happens.
We're back in the desert, and we're midway through the grueling Farmer's Walk. Todd Harris, along with Bill Kazmaier, our next set of men, is set to take on the 250-pound cylinders in each hand.
Mark Phillippe's a little bit short, but he's such a tough competitor. He could do well in this event. Kevin Toth is really tall. He's quite inexperienced. He's got a pretty good grip, though. If he can hold on, he'll go a long ways down this course. Tommy Inglesby's got the great grip. He's really tall. He should be able to motor down this course. He knows what his objectives are. And Chief Iron Bear has got a lot of international experience. He's handled these cylinders before. He's just got to hold on and motor.
We have got our first and second place competitors in this heat in Mark Phillippe and Chief Iron Bear Collins. But as we saw in the last heat, this one is just grueling. We'll see what they can do. The time to beat, 28.91. That was turned in by Ken Brown. And look at Tommy Inglesby, Bill. He is just flying.
Well, you know he's not going to let go. He's got that fantastic grip. He's picked a pace that he knows he can win with. He's heading down the course.
Oh, and he crosses the line under 20 seconds. That is amazing. Mark Phillippe, our current leader, also crosses the line with the second best time. He is looking very strong.
Let's go, guys! Come on! Come on, Chief!
Looks like Kevin Toth is just amazed a little bit. He doesn't quite know what to do. He can't convince himself to bend down and pick up those cylinders and keep going. It seems to be just a little bit too much for him. Chief Iron Bear's got a hold of him. He's heading down the course. But the grip is really a question right here, and so is his cardiovascular fitness.
250 pounds in each hand. That is a daunting task.
And oh, so close to the finish line. If he just can reach down right now and pick them up and head over the finish line, he'll have a good time.
Kevin Toth has called it quits. The grip is gone. The back's not there. But the Chief has just got to go a few more feet. And he does.
This is what the world's strongest man's all about. Never giving up.
It is Tom Tommy Inglesby leading the way in the farmer's walk. He is followed by Philippi, Brown, Martin, and Collins. And then it is Mitchell, Horonen, and Toth. Let's go down to Bill Kazmaier, who's got our winner.
What a tremendous effort. You really looked great in that one. How did it feel?
It felt great. I just really did what you told me before. Right before there, we just went for it, and man, I just actually felt easier than I thought it was going to be. I just went for it, man.
As an Olympic athlete and winning the hanging plunge, you've got a tremendous grip and overall body strength and conditioning. You really look super.
I appreciate that. I just hope I can continue on.
You did great. Congratulations.
Our congratulations to Tommy Inglesby, taking first place in the grueling farmer's walk, and he picks up a very valuable 10 points. That will catapult him into the top 4 of our overall standings after 7 events. But it is still Mark Philippi out in front. He is followed by Harold Collins, Ken Brown, and there's Tommy Inglesby in 4th. Stay with us. Coming up next, a World's Strongest Man Classic.
The bus pull.
The object.
Pull a 33,000-pound bus down the length of the course.
The fastest time wins. You're racing against the clock.
You're entering 10:56. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you.
This way, Boo.
We have just concluded the farmer's walk, and here is a look at the other 6 events we have completed. In the log lift, Chief Iron Bear took the first event by lifting a 335-pound log for the win. It was Iron Bear again showing his strength in the showgirl lift, finishing 2nd behind Mark Philippi, who squatted 955 pounds on his way to victory. The hanging plunge was claimed by the Olympian Tommy Inglesby, getting his first big points in the competition. Next, it was the wall toss, which came down to a duel between our 2 leaders, Chief Iron Bear Collins and newcomer Mark Philippi. This one ended in a draw, but Mark Philippi won by virtue of fewer misses. The Flintstone lift brought a fresh face, Ken Brown. He took 2nd, but was no match to the leader, Mark Philippi. The 6th event was the Iron Bar Bend. This was no easy test. It was won by James Horonen, and he catapulted up in the overall standings. A great crowd has turned out for our 8th of 12 events, and this is the one many people have been looking forward to, Bill, the bus pull.
That's right, Todd. Everybody enjoys watching this event, and it's really challenging for the guys. It's one of the greatest tests of strength.
Well, it's something that not many people can relate to, a 36,000-pound bus being pulled by a human being. Mark Philippi will be our first competitor. He is set to go, and he is away. This is a timed event. It is Mark Philippi against the clock. Talk about his technique, Bill. You've done this before. How does he look?
Well, Mark, he's got great leg strength. He's staying really low. He's pretty methodical with his foot placement. He's wavering around the course a little bit, but now that he's got it really moving, he's going to have a tremendous time.
And this really is a balance event as well. He is trying to keep his balance centered and going straight forward.
He's diving and staying really low to get over to the finish line.
And Mark Philippi trips the clock at 35.98, so that will be the time to beat in the bus pull.
There was a bit of controversy at the start of the event. When Mark pulled the bus, he started down the course about a step or 2, but the rules state that until the bus moves, the event really hasn't started, so he was within the rules.
And you could clearly hear the gun go off. The bus was not moving, so Mark Philippi within the rules, as you pointed out, and he finishes very strong, diving across the finish line. Our next competitor, Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins, self-proclaimed strongest Native American, and he derives his strength from his heritage.
name is Oren Bear, Chief Oren Bear. It was given to me for all the strength that I have. We had 2,000 pair of these Native American shoes made only for the Lumbee Indians. And the money that these shoes will raise will go towards the North Carolina Indian Cultural Center. My strategy is to win. Nobody is a clear favorite until the day is over with. This championship means a lot. So if you keep your mind set on what you do, you'll be a winner.
For charity, Chief Iron Bear pulls these buses sometimes all over the country to impress upon people that everybody can do something for people less fortunate than themselves.
Well, the time to beat for Iron Bear Collins is 35.98, set by Mark Philippi. Let's talk about his technique. How does he look, Bill?
I thought he's got tremendous foot speed here, but he's just a little bit high. If he'd stay a little lower, that bus would be traveling a lot faster.
Coming up on 25 seconds, it is going to be tight. He is very close to the finish line. The time to beat 35.98, and he trips the clock at 36 even, 2/100ths of a second behind Mark Philippi. Stay with us. We'll be back, and yes, we'll be pulling more buses on World's Strongest Man.
Introducing new McCain Golden Crisp Waffles, made waffle iron thick to stay fluffy on the inside while toasting up golden and crisp.
Sixth event is Mark Philippi, and the Las Vegas resident also scored an impressive time of 35.98 in the bus poll. He leads that event as well. Next to go was Gary Mitchell, who, with his wife cheering him on, was not as fortunate, finishing with a disappointing time of 39.11. Welcome back to World's Strongest Man. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier. Next up, it will be Phil Martin's turn to test his strength. He did quite well in the Farmer's Walk, Bill. How will he do here?
He's got great leg strength. He's really tall. And as you can see from the start, he's staying really low and getting that bus moving.
The time to beat 35.98. Martin's time on the left of your screen. Once he got that bus going, he is really starting to motor now.
He looks really determined. He's looking for that finish line, trying to accelerate the bus all the way through the course.
36,000 pounds, and this one will be tight as well. He is coming up on the 35.98 as he comes to the finish line, just underneath it at 35.63. Possibly a cramp there in his leg, but he will overtake Mark Philippi, and he is our current leader.
Phil's got a lot of international experience pulling buses and trucks and heavy vehicles. He trains really hard for this event. He's just determined to win everything he can.
Our next competitor to pull the 36,000-pound bus, the length of this course, James Veronin. Start is so critical, Bill, and right now it looks like James is really struggling.
He sure is. He's got good leg power, but he just couldn't get it to the rope and pull against the bus. That cost him a great deal of time on the start.
Martin's time, 35.63, is now the new time to beat. Veronin now getting the bus moving, but I think, as you pointed out, he lost a lot of time at the start.
Todd, you just can't waver like that. You've got to pull straight down the course and apply all of your force in one direction to get a heavy bus like that moving.
With about 10 feet to go, he passes Phil Martin, and it looks like he's going to check in just under 40 seconds at 39.59. Which is not a terrible time for James Veronin, but the start really hurt him, Bill.
That's right, Todd. The key to a good pull is starting low, staying in the zone, and actually eating asphalt all the way down the course. If you do this right, you're extremely exhausted, and it takes a lot out of the guys.
Remember, these 8 athletes are competing against one another. However, uniquely enough, they truly cheer one another on.
We want to go! Let's go! Come on, Garrett. Keep hanging now. Come on, Chief!
Although this is intense competition, all the athletes want to see their fellow competitors do well and not get injured. They just want to finish a little bit ahead of each other.
This is Ken Brown from Fresno, California in the bus pole. The time to beat thrown up by Phil Martin. It is a very good time at 35.63. We'll see how Ken Brown can do. And for a guy like Ken Brown, he's got to be in a disadvantage. He doesn't have a Greyhound parked out in front of his house, so how does he train for something like this?
Well, that's true. A lot of guys in a form of sponsorship would donate something or their services to help him to train. If he doesn't have a bus or a truck to pull, chances are he'd put his hands on the back bumper of a car and push it back and forth across the parking lot.
The time to beat set by Phil Martin, 35.63. Ken Brown coming up a little bit short on that, but he will trip the clock at 43.59. A great effort. And again, it all goes back to training, but Ken Brown will come in at 43.59. We will return to Primm, Nevada, and more bus pulling on World's Strongest Man.
Check out the rippin', twistin', crispin' stylin' of McCain Super Spirals. Whoa! Seriously twisted fries. McCain starts with its famous super fries, adds a twist, and rolls them in a light-tasting batter. And then a dash of spice for crunch after crunch of super seasoned satisfaction. McCain is twisting, spinning, and jumping your way. McCain Super Crisps and Super Spirals. Seriously twisted fries.
I'm making this up as I go along. Which way do I turn? I'm not really sure. But I've had some help. So I know we'll make it. One step at a time.
We take the time to understand what really matters in your life. Investors Group.
This weekend, the NBA's on TSN. Friday, it's an NBA All-Star preview. Saturday, the All-Stars hit the hardwood with some two-ball action, followed by a high-flying rookie game and an All-Star shootout. NBA All-Star Weekend, TSN.
Welcome back to the desert and the conclusion of the bus poll in the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier, our next competitor, Kevin Toth.
Kevin just can't seem to find a start here. He's driving as hard as he can. He's got a nice body tilt, big, strong legs, but I don't think he has the experience.
And as you pointed out earlier, the lighter man is at a disadvantage. Kevin Toth, one of our lighter competitors.
That's right. He seems to be moving pretty rapidly here towards the end of the course. But that start is just so crucial.
Well, Kevin Toth is now motoring down the last 15 feet of the course, coming up on the 35.63 set by Phil Martin, and he just misses it at 37.12. And for a bad start, that is a great finish.
He's a fierce competitor. He really put his all into that. He's tremendous hip and leg power. His calves are involved all the way through. He's really smoking after he gets through the start. He just gains experience as he goes down the course.
Our final competitor in the bus pole from Atlanta, Georgia, Tommy Inglesby. The time to beat set up by Phil Martin, 35.63. All Phil can do now is sit aside and watch. And for Tommy Inglesby, is this an advantage, Bill? Going last, he knows exactly what he has to beat.
Well, I used to love to get into this situation. After seeing all the competitors go before me and their technique, I knew just what the course was like and how it was laid out. I knew that if I just bared down and got this thing moving and really got in the zone and ate asphalt all the way down the course, that I could win.
Tommy Inglesby, he's got the bus moving, struggling at the start. He's had a lot of time now to sit and watch the other competitors. Do you think he's picked any keys up?
I think he knows he's got to stay low, and he sure is there now. He's actually crawling and scratching right down that course and doing a real good job.
35.63 is the time to beat, and that's all he cares about right now. He's got that bus moving. He is a big boy, and he is just battling to get to that finish line.
You can see when he stays down that he's feeling that pain, and it really takes its toll. That's why he's lost all of his balance.
Well, he comes across the line at 38.46. The win goes to Phil Martin in the bus pole.
All right, Tom.
So our congratulations to Phil Martin. He picks up the 10 points. He is followed by Philippi, Collins, and Toth. Then it's Inglesby, Mitchell, Veronin, and Ken Brown. Let's go down to Bill, who's got our winner.
Congratulations, Phil. A lot of events. You got your first win.
Yeah, it's about time. You know, I came a little late. You know, throwers, they start slow. They don't build momentum, and then they finish last.
You're really tall. Do you think that was an advantage with all your body weight?
Actually, I came in really cardiovascularly fit for this. I've been running and training light for throwing, and I think that was the key, is I'm not really bound up and tight.
You look like you're in there the rest of the way. Good luck in the next events.
Thanks, Bob.
Phil Martin making a move, and with a throwing event coming up later in the competition, he may be the dark horse, but it's still Mark Philippi. Welcome to Primm, Nevada, 40 miles south of famous Las Vegas. It is the world's strongest man, U.S. Strongman Final. We are coming down the home stretch. We are on event number 9. This is the tire toss. Our first competitor will be Tommy Inglesby from Atlanta, Georgia. Tommy Inglesby gets a score of 30 feet, 8.5 inches, a decent first toss.
Just about 30 feet. Good start.
We're going to take a break from our tire toss competition to give you a look at, we got incoming. Hey, I thought we were going to have a hold here. Bill, buddy, you don't want to sit with your tire.
Come on, I'm really not that good a shot. And it's not about accuracy. You know, this event takes technique, finesse, and it's judged by distance.
All right, since you almost hit me with your Michelin there, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you like in this competition?
Well, I like Tommy Inglesby because he's tall and really strong. Of course, Kevin Toth is a thrower, so he ought to do really well. And Mark Philippi has been strong in almost every event.
Yeah, Mark Philippi is our leader. Right now, let's go have a look at our competition and find out how everything else is shaken down to this point. The first event was the log lift, where Chief Iron Bear Collins, the veteran, took control by lifting a 335-pound log for the win. It was Iron Bear again showing his strength in the showgirl lift, finishing second behind Mark Philippi, who squatted 955 on his way to victory. The hanging plunge went to Olympian Tommy Inglesby, getting his first big points in the competition. The next event was the wall toss, and it came down to a duel between our two leaders, Chief Iron Bear Collins and the newcomer Mark Philippi. This one ended in a draw, but Mark Philippi took first place by virtue of fewer misses. The Flintstone lift brought a fresh face, Ken Brown. He took second, but he was no match to the leader, Mark Philippi. The sixth event was the Iron Bar Bend. This was no easy test. It was won by James Veronin, and that launched him in the overall standings. Next was the grueling Farmer's Walk. Tommy Inglesby received his second victory in the competition. Then came the bus pole. Here we saw Phil Martin prevail with a winning time of 35.63. We are coming down the home stretch with only 4 events to go. Here's how we stand after 8 events. Mark Philippi in front, followed by Harold Collins. Ken Brown and Tommy Inglesby are tied for 3rd. In 5th place, it's Phil Martin, followed by James Veronin, Gary Mitchell, and Kevin Toth. Our next competitor in the tire toss, our current overall leader. This is Mark Philippi from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mark shows he's got experience throwing the discus and now the tire. With a throw of 35 feet, 11.5 inches. He isn't laying back at all. He's putting everything he's got in each one of these events. He's got pretty good form. He puts a lot of power all the way through the throw.
So Mark Philippi settles in with a 35, 11.5. Next up, Gary Mitchell. Now the problem for him, he's got that torn bicep.
Gary's trying to compensate by using his left arm and staying off that bicep. You know, to be a world's strongest man competitor, you've got to overlook some of these injuries. He's pushed himself just as far as he can go.
Gary Mitchell, 30 feet, 7 inches, despite being among the walking wounded. A pretty decent toss for him, throwing with his left hand. He's going to have a tough day ahead. Next up will be James Veronin. On his first attempt, he got a 21, 6.5 inches. A pretty decent score, but he needs to work on his technique, doesn't he?
Just a little bit. You know, you've got to get out back in a field somewhere and start tossing a tire like this to get good at it. And you're not going to get great distances unless you spin.
James Veronin will have to settle for that on his second attempt. A little work indeed, like this man, who certainly knows how to throw a tire. We'll be back with more after this.
Hey, Mom. Hi. Can we order pizza?
Okay. Time for McCain.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Man, the tire toss. In his first throw, Chief Iron Bear had a no throw for failing to stay in the circle. That wouldn't be the case for Phil Martin, who would toss the tire 38 feet, 11 inches. Martin would be quickly upstaged by Kevin Toth. Toth recorded the longest throw of the afternoon to this point, a 42-foot, 3-inch throw. This event demands a complete athlete, strength, finesse, and style. But unfortunately, Ken Brown followed with a disappointing no throw. So that brings us to our next thrower, Bill. This is Tommy Inglesby from Atlanta, Georgia, and in his first attempt, he looked like he had everything mixed in right.
There you go. He's doing really well, only Tommy's just not releasing with the tire at a high enough level to get great distance.
An impressive toss for Tommy Inglesby, and he is the youngest competitor at 27, but no stranger to elite competition.
I was on the 96 Olympic weightlifting team, and the way I train doing the Olympic-style weightlifting that I do, it actually has prepared me to be here. I think that the experience that I have an advantage over my other competitors. as a new guy on the block, I plan on surprising some people. It's something I always dreamed of, and it being in the States like this, I just felt like I just had to be here.
Well, Tommy Inglesby certainly has some lofty goals, but right now that is the man blocking his way, Mark Philippi, our current leader.
Preparation for these events really just takes going out into a field, grabbing a tire, and throwing again and again until you can get that technique down and get those far distances.
Mark Philippi records a distance of 37 feet, 2 inches. Tough score indeed. Next up will be Harold Iron Bear Collins on his second attempt.
After a foul on the first attempt, Harold elected to just throw from a standing position.
Chief does not go with the spinning technique, but he gets some pretty good distance on this. A lot of loft, and that has seemed to help all of our competitors. He gets a 29 feet 4-inch throw.
Brown in the hole.
This is Phil Martin. Now, we talked about him being a thrower on his first throw, 38 feet 11 inches. Looking for some big things from him, Bill.
Sure am. I imagine if he gets his spin down and keeps that tire really far away from his body with a lot of speed and a beautiful height. There it is, a great toss.
Well, that is Phil Martin's best throw of the day, by far.
Time for the throwers to come on, baby.
How do you feel?
Great. But Kevin is in the clutch throw position, so he's going to have one left after I'm done, and that's a good spot to be in.
41 feet, 11 inches and 3/4 for Phil Martin. This is Kevin Toth, his second attempt.
As you can see, Toth's first throw still holds, and here comes number 2.
Kevin Toth absolutely launches that one, Bill, and that was almost perfect technique.
Kevin is a world-class thrower who's adapted his shot put technique to the tire toss. With a throw of 36 feet 4 3/4 inches, it's just not as far as his last throw.
In the throwing world, he's a stud, and I throw the fake stuff.
Competitors on the field, friends off. We'll be back with more of the tire toss from Primm, Nevada after this.
You would not be completely human if you did not mostly prefer to be elsewhere. Introducing the completely reinvented Isuzu Rodeo. Introducing the new 205 horsepower Isuzu Rodeo. Poof, you're on.
You get 3 attempts to throw a 35-pound automobile tire.
The furthest throw wins.
Tommy Inglesby in his third attempt had a disappointing outcome.
Tommy needs more speed to get a great distance. The trajectory of this tire is just a little bit too low.
28.7 on that throw, his longest throw, 33 feet 4.5. And our leader, Mark Philippi, in his third attempt, threw his best toss.
Mark has overcome his disadvantage of being shorter with speed and power.
His best throw, 38 feet 1 inches. So our next competitor will be Gary Mitchell.
Roll it.
Gary's been forced to change his technique to a two-handed style similar to the Olympic hammer. Because of that bicep injury, Gary's got a ton of overall body strength and could do really well in this event if it wasn't for that bicep.
Longest throw for Gary Mitchell, 30 feet 7 inches and 3/4. Next up, the Chief, Harold Iron Bear Collins.
At 6'2" and 350 pounds, Chief Iron Bear, as a powerlifter, has just not developed a body conducive to throwing.
And his throw on his last attempt, 29 feet 3 inches and 1/4. That will bring us to Phil Martin from California, and it's been him and Kevin Toth all day. This is his third attempt, and currently he sits in second place. A great throw by Phil Martin, and Kevin Toth knows the pressure is on now. What a toss, Phil. He had the trajectory, the technique, it was all there.
Well, Phil told us he just came off of a big season of throwing. His form is still right on.
Phil Martin saving the best for last. That toss comes in at a distance of 42 feet, 11 inches, and that leaves Kevin Toth, the lone man in the circle for his last throw.
Kevin's developed a great technique for throwing this tire. He's just got to wind up and hit this one perfect for the win.
Kevin Toth very pleased with that one. It looks like he had the technique, the speed that you talk about. It looks like he had the whole package there.
It's going to be close. It looks like it might have been just about far enough. You can see how he keeps the tire really far away from himself and pulls hard at the end for a great toss.
42.
And we have a new leader, Kevin Toth, 43 feet 4 inches. So the Olympic thrower lives up to his reputation. We have a final competitor. This is Ken Brown on his third attempt.
Ken had a no throw on his first attempt and just over 35 feet on his second. You have to really pull it out on this one.
A stellar throw by Ken Brown, but it's not enough to overtake the great throw of Kevin Toth, who launches the tire 43 feet 3 3/4 inches. Martin and Brown also pick up some big and much-needed points. Down to Bill Kazmaier, who's got first and second place.
Congratulations, guys. Hey, in the shot put, could he have stayed with you?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of, you got to be a ballerina. I don't know if Phil would look too good in a ballerina uniform. There's a lot of technique to it. But being a stone thrower, he might do all right.
You guys are way ahead of the group. What's the secret?
We are experienced throwers. And I do have a ballerina suit in my room. If you'd like to see it later, that's okay.
How would you guys like to go back out there and do it one more time, just one-on-one, huh?
Yeah, I would like to.
Sure. I'd like to hit that 45-foot line. Why not?
Congratulations, guys.
The challenge has been thrown, and after 9 events, it's Mark Philippi out in front, followed by Collins Brown, Inglesby, and Martin tied at 4. More World's Strongest Man from the Desert after this.
Home Hardware presents Close to Home, because at Home Hardware,
just 40 miles south to the desert, Trim, Nevada, home to this year's World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman Final. We are set to begin the 10th event, the barrel load, where my colleague Bill Kazmaier is standing by to explain.
In the barrel loading event, the athletes will take these barrels weighing 240 pounds by the handles and load them onto that truck 12 feet away. By the time they get to the 6th barrel, they'll be 25 feet away from the truck, and it'll probably feel like a mile. Remember, this is for time.
Thank you, Bill. We are set to go with the barrel load. Stamina, endurance, and survival now becoming very key in this competition. Our first competitor in the barrel load, who will be facing the clock, will be Kevin Toth, winner of the tire throw.
Are we ready to go? All right, take your mark. Set.
Kevin's at a little bit of a disadvantage with this draw. Having to go first, he's going to have to set the pace. He's going to have to establish a smooth pace all the way through the 5th and 6th barrel without hitting the wall.
Well, just to give you an idea of how heavy these kegs are, they are all full of cement, and they weigh in just over 240 pounds apiece.
You can see Kevin getting winded now. Really struggling to carry the barrel and to get it up onto the truck and load it. Running back is becoming as difficult as running forward.
This is the final barrel for Kevin Toth, and he may make it under 50 seconds. Just over 50, so he comes in at 50.05. That becomes the mark to beat. As you pointed out, Kevin Toth is absolutely winded.
It's over.
After completing the 6th barrel, it looks like Kevin judged his performance just right. He's just out of gas after the 6th barrel.
Our next competitor and current overall leader, Mark Philippi from Las Vegas, Nevada.
You can do it. Push it out.
There's Toth's time to beat, 50 seconds, .05. And right now, Mark Philippi has got a great pace going. If he can keep this all the way through, Bill, I think he may beat it.
And that's going to be the question. He's running back to the barrels. and running towards the truck with him as quickly as he can. Loading could become a problem here towards 5 and 6.
I tell you what, if you had Mark Philippi and Kevin Toth loading for you, you'd get a lot of work done.
If you had these two guys working for you, you wouldn't need a forklift.
Well, this is the last barrel for Mark Philippi, and he gets it up at 41.85. His wife is sure pleased with that score.
Used to like drinking beer before this event. Now I like little shots of whiskey.
Well, Phil Martin certainly has a great sense of humor, and that's really kept him sane during these events.
He makes a joke now and again, but right now everything's all serious business.
Thank you, Mark. Set.
Now, Phil Martin is one of our taller competitors. He's got a bit of an advantage getting it up onto the truck, doesn't he?
It sure looks like it, but backing up towards the truck looks like a disadvantage.
Now, Bill, on something like this, obviously you can't go down to the local tavern and ask to load all their kegs for them. How do you train for this?
Well, actually, that's just about what you do. Your sponsor would supply some barrels for you, and you'd go ahead and train with these as often as you could, once or twice a week, handling the barrels and building your cardiovascular endurance and being prepared to work with these barrels in the competition.
Safe to say this kind of training is much more grueling than working out in a nice air-conditioned gym.
It is. That's the way you got to make it to win.
Oh, and Phil Martin drops the last keg. He's right at the base of the truck. He won't beat Mark Philippi, but he's trying to get it in there nonetheless, and he does at 50.81, the third best time of the day.
Phil made it through that without any strains or sprains, and he's not suffering from dehydration. Through the course of these 12 events, it hasn't been pain-free. These athletes really pay the price.
Dropped it.
Good pull. Halfway through, I started getting a cramp. It looks worse than it is.
I'm super gluing the callus back down so it doesn't peel off and leave a big open wound in my hand, like the open wound that's in my head right now.
Gary Mitchell got an injury to his bicep in the first event. He fought hard through 8 more events, but after the 9th event, he's had to pull out. He won't do the barrel load.
We'll have more of the barrel load from Primm, Nevada as the world's strongest man continues.
Professional hockey players will compete in the Olympic Games. And it will be one of the greatest Olympic hockey teams this country has ever assembled. Remember it with a set of 12 Olympic hockey medallions featuring 23 of Canada's best. Crafted exclusively for McDonald's, they're only 89 cents when you buy any size fries.
Nothing can compare to playing for your country.
The Daytona 500 is about pressure, tire pressure, oil pressure, no washrooms for 500 miles pressure. NASCAR's back. The Daytona 500 qualifying Saturday, February 7th on TSN.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Man, the barrel load. Tommy Inglesby, who was in 4th after 9 events and was looking for some much-needed points, had a disappointing time of 1 minute, 0.31 seconds. This effort would hamper Inglesby's chances of picking up a qualifying position for the World Championships. Chief Iron Bear would come in right behind Inglesby. He was hoping to stay in the number 2 position and move on to the World Final. Another competitor in contention, Ken Brown. He was on his way to a tremendous time until the unthinkable. He failed to place the barrel on the truck bed and landed hard on the cement.
at the time.
All these guys are winners. Ken's a survivor after a fall like that with the barrel.
Mark Philippi is still our leader at 41.85. He wins this, and he could clinch a position in the world final. Our final competitor, James Veronin from El Paso, Texas, currently in 6th position. What do you think his chances are, Bill?
James going to have to really set a pace here. Sort of looks like he's taking off kind of slow. He probably wants to make sure he gets through all the way to the 6th barrel.
He is one of our competitors who was bitten by the injury bug. He's got a bum right shin, and that is really slowing him up.
When an athlete takes on an event like this, he has to really be committed that he's just going to fly. When I did this event, I looked at those barrels like there was nothing in them. Mark Philippi took that kind of attitude and flew through his.
Come on!
Well, it looks like James Veronin is not going to top Mark Philippi. He is just wanting to finish now with 2 more barrels, and his pace is really slowed. Mark Philippi enjoying a little time with his son there. He knows he has clinched a spot in the world final. He is watching the pain that James Veronin is going through, and he can relate to it.
Jim's only 25 feet away from that truck. He reaches down to grab this barrel and head towards the truck. It's going to feel like it's a mile away.
Come on now! Yeah, all the way!
And James Veronin finishes at 1 minute, 24 seconds, .57. He is just happy to be done, and Mark Philippi will advance to the world final. He will be our first U.S. representative. The barrel load results look like this. Philippi wins. He is followed by Toth, Martin, and Brown in 4th place. Inglesby and Collins have very disappointing finishes, and those missed points could cost them. Philippi clinches, and now it is Collins, Brown, Martin, and Inglesby who will battle it out for that last qualifying position in the world final. Next time on the World's Strongest Man, a classic strength event, the limo pole. And hand-to-hand battle in the Sumo Challenge. With 4 guys in the mix and 2 events to go, the race is on for 2nd. Remember, 2 from the U.S. advance to the finals of the World's Strongest Man contest. Mark Philippi is in. Join us next time to see who else will advance. For Bill Kazmaier, I'm Todd Harris. We'll see you then.
No matter how you get there or who you have to drag along with you, do not miss the most inspired night of feats of physical strength. The 1997 World's Strongest Man competitions. Saturday, only on TSN.
We are coming down the home stretch, the final day of competition in the U.S. Strongman final of the World's Strongest Man. Our first discipline on tap today, the very grueling and challenging limo pole under a hot Nevada sun. Hello, everybody. Todd Harris along with Bill Kazmaier. Our first competitor on the limo pole will be Kevin Toth. And Bill, after 10 events, these guys are so spent. What has Kevin got to do just to survive this?
Well, he's got a lot of fatigue, as you say, all the way through his body. He's got to get a good, sure grip, be aggressive, and take a lot of rope with every stroke, and then pull hard with his legs and his low back.
Our competitors are pulling not 1, not 2, but 3 limos that are linked to the end of this rope.
Gotta go now.
We are late in the competition. This is the final day. Recovery, endurance, and just survival, Bill.
Well, you can see Kevin using his legs at every single stroke. His legs have so much fatigue, as you say. Now his back's starting to go. His grip's going to go. He's just got to pull from everything he's got. and finish this one. I know the grip's going. Go, come on. Hold on tight. You're almost there.
And he has really gotten to no man's land. There's a bit of a dip right at the end of this course, and I think that's where he is, and the limos are not moving.
Come on, man. Todd, this is a timed event. He's trying to finish the course the best time he can. Hopefully right now he can just make it to the end.
Kevin Toth trying to gut it out. He calls it quits, so he will get credit for distance at 80 feet, 9.5 inches.
Very tough. Very tough.
We will return to our limo pole competition, but right now we are at the venue of our 12th and final event. This is the Sumo Challenge. Bill, this is totally unpredictable.
Well, it really is. You know, all week long we've been man against an inanimate object, which is fairly predictable, but man against man, anything can happen.
Well, Mark Philippi has already clinched the U.S. Strongman title. He will move on to the World's Strongest Man. But as we pointed out, we are taking the top 2, so that leaves another spot open, and there's 4 men who could fill that spot.
There sure is. You know, in the limo pole, I kind of like Inglesby and Martin because they're both tall, they got really long arms, and they really want to move into second. And in the Sumo Challenge, well, we got Inglesby again because he is so tall, he is so strong, and Mark Philippi, he wants to end with a victory.
All right, we're going to find out who's got what left and who's going to join Mark Philippi. Mark Philippi is in the World's Strongest Man final. Who will join him? Collins, Brown, Martin, or Inglesby? They all have hope for that final position. Well, there is the man who currently fits in the number 2 position, Chief Iron Bear Collins. And the man who'd like to take away that number 2 spot and the final position in the World Finals, Tommy Inglesby. He's next up on the limo pole.
There you go. Come on. Come on, bring it on.
Tommy's nice and tall for this event. He's got a really good grip, as he's shown us before. His technique is just a little bit off here. He's not using his legs. He's trying to pull with his arms and his upper back. Pull it.
Well, he will set the pace if he can finish. Kevin Toth unable to, and right now he has got a lot of momentum. All 3 limos are rolling, and this is a lot like a rowing machine, isn't it, Bill?
It sure is. Looks like he's just pulling so hard with his upper body. He's got a great time.
Tommy Inglesby in the hunt for that 2nd position in the World's Strongest Man final, and he has got the limos just moving. And he stops the clock at 44 seconds, .72. He is very pleased with that, and he should be. That was a great pull, Bill.
It sure was. Great strategy chase at the end using his legs.
Things are getting interesting. We'll have more World's Strongest Man after this.
The strength really fascinates me. It doesn't matter what kind of lifting it is. But it feels really good to be able to do something that somebody else can't do.
I don't know if there are limits. I think we're lifting a lot of weight and moving a lot of heavy objects, but it's getting heavier and heavier all the time, so I'm not sure we'll reach the limits. We're getting close, but they keep pushing the human body a little bit farther, and it keeps going.
Just you come ready for battle, and whatever happens, happens.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Man. Here's my colleague Bill Kazmaier with an explanation on our first discipline.
This event is the limo pole, which has become my favorite event because they finally found a car big enough for guys my size. Let me show you how it works. The athletes will grab this rope and pull hand over hand these 3 limousines weighing 7,000 pounds each. They're attached together with a 6-foot chain. The athletes will have to use tremendous leg, hip, and low back power. The grip is going to go fast. The athletes will lose digital dexterity. It's only going to be a one-shot deal for time. The athletes wouldn't want to do it twice.
Thank you, Bill, and a guy like me wouldn't want to do it once. Our next competitor, Ken Brown, now he is still in the hunt for that second qualifying position in the World Final. Well, he has got the limos moving. That is the most important part. Use their momentum to get him down the strip. But at 17 seconds, Bill, it looks like his grip and his back are already starting to go.
But he does have a great grip, though, Todd. You can see he's really extending and using a lot of his upper body and back strength.
Come on.
His legs are going, just like you say. His whole body's in fatigue. He's given everything he's got on every pull, just to maintain the movement of those three heavy limousines.
And one of the keys is if you don't keep the limos moving and they stop, getting those things started again is really difficult.
You're right, Todd. I think just about impossible once those limousines come to a complete stop.
Well, the time to beat was 44.72, put up by Inglesby. He has passed that, but he really needs to finish here, Bill, because he needs those points. They are going to prove valuable in our last event.
Looks like he's just about finished. His grip is gone. He can't hardly hold the rope. I think he's through.
So Brown gets credit for distance, 94 feet, 5 1/2 inches.
Good job.
When we come back, 3 competitors who are vying for the second spot in the World Final. Inglesby, Martin, and Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins. Stay with us. More World Strongman for casinos, where you can practically do everything. Having already clinched the overall competition, Mark Philippi from Las Vegas still wanted to win this event. He finished with a strong time of 52 seconds, .98.
Mark's a fierce competitor who will represent the U.S. well in the World Final.
Our next competitor is Phil Martin, and he is still in contention for that second position that moves on to the World Final. An interesting point about Phil Martin, he has been in the World's Strongest Man final before, so he knows what it takes.
Phil's mentally prepared himself for every one of these events. He's pulled the rope a number of times before in international competition. All he's got to do, he just cost himself about a half a second on the start. I hope that doesn't hurt him at the end of this race. He's pulling so hard and so strong. He's really got those limos moving.
There you see the time to beat, 44.72, put up by Tommy Inglesby. And right now, it looks like Phil Martin's strategy may have paid off. He has got a tremendous pull going.
Phil's got unbelievable upper body strength. You can see him using his arms, just reeling in those 21,000 pounds of limousine. Now he starts kicking in with his lower body and his legs. Great strategy.
Similar to what Inglesby did, shifting from the back, the hands to the legs, just rotating, and now he goes to the leg work. And this is going to be close. He is pulling with all his might, and he comes in at 44.98, just over 0.2 of a second behind Inglesby. And as you pointed out, Bill, that start may have cost him the lead.
Woo! Yeah, Phil Martin seems pretty happy, but he could have been a whole lot happier if he just would have hit that start perfect. Here he is pulling for all he's worth. He's got that great grip, but he just didn't make the time.
So Phil Martin clocks in with a time of 44.98. That currently puts him in second place. Now the man of the hour, Chief Iron Bear Collins. He is currently sitting in second overall, and he desperately needs to keep the points coming in, or he's going to lose that spot, Bill.
Chief Iron Bear has been through a lot of tough events, and endurance is not his strong point. This could be a really tough event for him.
Tasting for the World's Strongest Man contest. Come on. Go, go.
Well, Chief's got a great pull going right away. He doesn't look like he's using much of his legs, though, as he's saving that for the end.
Moving good. That could be his strategy. He's so big and heavy up on top. It looks like he can move that 21,000 pounds with just his back and his biceps.
There's the time to beat, 44.72. The Chief is about halfway there, and it looks like he's got it on a good roll. The most important thing now is to keep the momentum going. If those limos stop, he is dead in the water.
Looks like a really good pull he's got going. He's using his low back now and his legs. Limos are moving pretty good.
Here comes the toughest portion, the last 15 feet, and it looks like the Chief, as you pointed out, is starting to labor. He is not getting much movement now.
The uphill seems to be slowing him down a little bit. You just got to keep pulling. Here's where a strongman just digs down and deep.
Come on, Harold. That's it. Come on, brother.
Boy, he is really fatigued. The grip is starting to go. And as we pointed out, Bill, those limos are barely moving. It's going to be tough for him to get him going again.
Come on. This is an interesting strategy where he wraps the rope around his arm and pulls just his legs and upper back.
Come on, Chief.
That is 21,000 pounds of weight, and it is just inching along, and the Chief is desperately trying to get it over that last foot.
Roll back. Roll back. Come on, you got it. Come on, bring it in.
So the Chief will quit at 98 feet, 11 inches. Inglesby and Martin go 1 and 2 in the limo poll, and they pick up some very valuable points. As we go to the board, the final results look like this. Inglesby and Martin, followed by Mark Philippi. The Chief checks in at position number 4. He picks up enough points to stay in second overall. Ken Brown falls off the pace. After 11 events, Mark Philippi has already clinched. Harold Collins still in second, trying to hold off Phil Martin and Tommy Inglesby. When we come back, our final event, the Sumo Challenge. Stay with us. More World's Strongest Man after this. Welcome back to Primm, Nevada. As we prepare for the final event, the Sumo Challenge, our competitors have gathered around the mat. But first, let's take a look at my partner, who, because of his accolades as one of the strongest men in history, has been more than just a commentator during this competition.
First one you'll have a harder time with than you will the second.
No, I didn't say a number.
And then try to lace your fingers and pull in with the butts of your hands and save your pack.
What's the best way to do it? Pull down until you can't get it too good.
As much as you can up there. And then pull down really hard.
Kazmar just took, powerlifting and being a strongman to just another level.
He was probably my biggest inspiration of all time.
He's done things that, many of us are just dream about.
His sheer size and strength was just phenomenal.
Bill is definitely one of the strongest men in history, and to give me advice, it's just like, I can't even describe it. It's incredible.
The thing is going to be to stay in the pool. If you get it going so fast, to stay in it, stay low, don't come up. The faster you're going to fire back. Yeah. Better you guys than me, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, Bill, I speak for the whole crew. It has been a pleasure working with you, and I know the competitors have loved having you out here. But we have got business at hand, the Sumo Challenge. First up, it will be James Veronin against the Chief, Harold Iron Bear Collins.
Chief Veronin's giving up a little bit of body weight here. Chief is so big and so strong up on top, he just pushes him right out.
One for the Chief.
Chief Harold Iron Bear Collins desperately needs to keep the points and keep pace, and this is what he needs to do.
In the last 11 events, these athletes have been up against inanimate objects. Now it's man against man. It changes the whole game. One of these guys has to dominate the other in each of these events.
This is Phil Martin and Kevin Toth. Toth touches the ground, so he is eliminated. Phil Martin will move on. And that is huge for Phil Martin, Bill. He desperately also needs to keep the points coming in.
That's right. Both of these guys are the same height, but Phil just ducked out of the way and pulled Toth to the mat.
Now, this is an interesting match. This is Inglesby and Brown. And you'd think on the surface, Inglesby would have it, but Brown is giving a great fight.
What an aggressive match, but Brown did give up a lot of weight there and was pushed out of the ring by Inglesby.
So does Tommy Inglesby taking out Ken Brown.
Tommy's had some wrestling experience and used a little bit of a head shuck here. What a big win for Inglesby.
And this is how the drama will play out. In this bracket, it will be Martin and Inglesby going head-to-head on the sumo mat, while Collins does battle with Philippi, and there's one position left to the World Finals. This should be a great match, Bill. Chief Iron Bear Collins and Mark Philippi.
They're both the same weight. They're both about the same height. One heck of a match.
Well, Mark Philippi showing his true championship form. He does not need this match. Chief Iron Bear certainly does. Mark has already clinched the title, but they are going at it like everything's on the line.
These athletes are fierce warriors, trying to do everything they can to push each other out of the ring.
Oh, and Mark Philippi touches the mat, so the victory goes to Chief Iron Bear Collins. What a huge victory for him.
Chief Iron Bear Collins.
When we come back, the conclusion of the World's Strongest Man, U.S. Strongman.
The strongman competition is the strongest men in America and in the world laying it on the line to find out who's the strongest in the world.
To be the strongest man in the world would be one of the pinnacles of athleticism. You've accomplished something that maybe nobody else has done, or you've done it in a way that maybe nobody else has done. It's about 14 days of injury, sweat, blood, and tears. I think the World's Strongest Man contest is something that is unusual, unorthodox, and it takes a very special athlete to compete in it.
For me, it'd be a tremendous honor to be the strongest man in the world.
Bill, you are a three-time World's Strongest Man. What has it meant in your life?
Well, I pursued being a modern-day gladiator, and winning the World's Strongest Man competition was one of my greatest achievements. These fellows are on the same quest.
Well, this is an enormous match for Phil Martin. If he can beat Tommy Inglesby, he has a shot at that number 2 position, qualifying for the World Finals. Oh, and Inglesby knocks Martin right out of the ring and knocks him out of contention for that number 2 qualifying spot.
Tommy uses Phil's own momentum to help push him out of the ring. Phil's so dejected. Winning and qualifying for the Worlds means so much to him.
Phil Martin's loss is Chief Iron Bear's gain. He will move on and represent the United States in the World Finals along with Mark Philippi. And it was this match that clinched it for the Chief. He was able to beat Mark Philippi in an earlier round and get enough points to hold off the rest of the competitors. Inglesby winning the 12th and final event, the Sumo Challenge. He picks up 10 points, but it's not enough. Bill Kazmaier standing by with our 2 U.S. representatives to the World Finals.
Congratulations, guys. Must have been a grueling week.
Yeah, it's been a long week, long 4 days.
Yeah. You guys seem to get stronger every day, though. Now you're into the big show and the World's Strongest Man. One of you guys is going to come out the victory there, aren't you?
Well, I'm hoping so. I think I'll do well. Guys got a lot of experience, and they're tough, and we've both been over to Europe to find that out, so we're going to have to be at the top of our game.
Chief, you ready?
I'm going to have to go back home and regroup, then come back, and we'll see.
Yeah. Do you like the events in the World's Strongest Man competition versus these?
I looked at the events. They look like they're pretty good events for both of us, so I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. Your back's okay, your ribs and everything, Chief?
Oh, yeah, my back, yeah, I'm all right. I'm just totally exhausted. 4 days, 3 events a day. It's just very exhausting.
Well, I can tell you I've never seen 2 stronger guys in a competition. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Congratulations. Here's some more.
Thank you, Bill. And the final results of the World's Strongest Man U.S. Strongman final are like this. Philippi, Collins, Inglesby, Brown and Martin tie for 4th. And it's Kevin Toth, James Bronin, and Gary Mitchell. Congratulations to all of our competitors. They all competed like true champions. Next on World's Strongest Man, 4-time champion Magnus Berg-Magnusson. It's the international final. Magnus will have to defend his title against a formidable field consisting of some of the world's strongest men. Then later this month, join our U.S. champion. Today, it's the Magnus for Magnuson show. He is arguably the strongest man alive. Magnus is the running strongman champion, having won a record 4 times. Today, he will take the field to try and qualify for this year's World's Strongest Man contest. Welcome to Primm, Nevada, site of the World's Strongest Man International Strongman competition, where 24 competitors will vie for 8 spots in the World's Strongest Man final. Hello, everybody. Todd Harris, along with 3-time World Strongman champion Bill Kazmaier. Bill, as we come into this event, all eyes have got to be on Magnus for Magnuson.
Sure, after being the 4-time champion, there's really no question he's the man to beat.
All right, if you follow the U.S. Strongman competition, you've seen some very interesting and unique competitions, and we've got something similar like that for you today.
Yeah, the new events coming in, though, are going to be the Hercules hold, testing the grip, the incline bench, testing the chest, shoulders, and arms, and the wench lift, which is turning a cylinder and using overall body strength and endurance, pulling an object, which takes a lot of upper body strength.
All right, we will qualify 2 competitors today. 2 Americans have already qualified for the World's Strongest Man final. They are Mark Philippi and Chief Iron Bear Collins.
But for these guys, the question is really going to be recovery. You know, after 12 grueling events, their legs are gone. And as those legs are coming around, they're going to be focusing their attention on their attitude, trying to get ready for what could possibly be the toughest strongman competition ever held.
All right, we will see our 2 Americans in the World's Strongest Man finals. But right now, let's throw it to our BBC colleagues, Paul Dickinson and Philippa Forrester.
We're against the backdrop of the mountains of the Nevada desert in the aptly named Buffalo Bills, the first gambling stop inside the state line, just 40 minutes away from Las Vegas. Last-minute preparations are still taking place for the first event, the winch, which gives Paul a chance to catch up with the reigning champion.
Magnus, this competition seems to be getting tougher every year. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, tell me about it. And I'm not getting any younger every year.
Magnus Ver Magnuson starts as favorite. Do you think he can defend his title again?
You know, Magnus is an awesome athlete, and he's an awesome person, and I think he's got his work cut out for him this year, because there are a lot of great athletes assembled this year at the World's Strongest Man.
This looks as though it could be one of the toughest heats of all.
It certainly doesn't look like one of the easiest heats. But if you want to go and win the World's Strongest Man, it doesn't matter what heat you are in.
And so we get cracking with a massive trial of strength. 34,000 pounds of American super truck to be wound in with a winch over the course of 30 meters. Joe Onasai, the first to go. And the competitors having drawn before the competition to see who goes first. Just gets the strain on, and here we go. And getting this giant lorry going is going to be the most difficult part of this event. Joe's 25-stone body weight might not help him too much here. It strengthened the arms and the shoulders. The champion watching and waiting. Just over 35 seconds, and Joe is really working hard. It's always difficult going first, but this is a good effort. He's getting tremendous support, and the truck is on its way. There's just about 5 more meters to go, and the agony will stop. These big guys don't like endurance. It must cross the line. 55.95 seconds, a big effort from a huge guy. The champion for the last 3 years, beginning the long haul to try and win it once again. Possibly the best all-round strength athlete the world has ever known. He'll take his time to prepare himself, and Asta, his girlfriend, as always, looking worried. Now, Magnus knows the importance of a strong start. Get it rolling, and then keep up a steady rhythm. But that winch looks very awkward. There's 30 seconds on the clock now with the time to beat in the left-hand corner, and this looks like a big effort from the Icelander. The arms really pumping away, using every muscle in his body. And Asta screaming her support. He's very, very close now. Can he beat 50 seconds? There's still a little bit more to do. The last couple of meters, agonizingly slow. I think he's lost the early advantage. It's over 56 seconds. He's behind Joe Onosai, but delighted it's over. And Joe may be a bit surprised, but there's a long way to go. Scotland's Brian Bell, the third man to go in this event. 18 wheels supporting 15 tons of steel on its way. And Brian is really having a go here. He's going at it like crazy. He's got tremendous strength in his arms and shoulders. There's Jackie, his wife, trying to encourage him. But I think that early fast start is going to make him slow down a little. He's almost there. This is a great effort from the Scot. He's slowing just a little, but this is a tremendous effort. 53.42. Can you believe it? He's beaten two of the best men in the competition. He's totally exhausted, but in the lead. And Joe can't believe it.
We'll be right back with more World's Strongest Man.
Introducing new McCain Golden Crisp Waffles, made waffle iron thick to stay fluffy on the inside while toasting up golden and crisp on the outside. Treat yourself to the real waffle iron taste of new McCain Golden Crisp Waffles. Waffle iron thick to toast up light and crispy every time.
Next winter, as Newfoundland and Labrador celebrate their 50th anniversary, the country will be celebrating unity through sport. The 1999 Canada Games are coming to Corner Brook, and TSN will take you there. For more than 30 years, young Canadians have realized their dreams, competing province by province for a national title. Help us celebrate sport and culture from Canada's newest province. The dream continues as we count down to Corner Brook for the Canada Games, March 8th on TSN.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Man. Let's rejoin Paul Dickinson and Philippa Forsta.
Regan Vagadal, he almost became a national hero in the Faroe Islands when he made the final last year, despite a terrible accident in one of the events. He almost buried his head in the tarmac after falling underneath one of the weights he was lifting. So 30 seconds now, and look at this. He's really getting stuck in. He's really attacking it. It looks very fast, and that's worrying Brian Bell. He's still working, and Girlfriend Macon with a stopwatch at the ready. Just a couple of meters to go, and well under 50 seconds, 46.60, and that is sensational. Vagadal has destroyed the rest. A real stunner for Brian Bell. Well, this guy means business. Sven Carlsen from Norway, raring to go by the looks of it. And the load ready and waiting. Ben Carson would love to make the final here, but look at this. He's struggling a little bit to get it going. He needs to smooth out those turns on the winch. Well, 30 seconds is coming up. He could be behind, but it's beginning to move well. That's his wife, Nana, giving him a bit of stick. He's really got it going, and it seems to be accelerating after that poor start. Oh, yes, he's going to do it very easily. Very impressive indeed. Another 4 seconds off the best time. You might have heard him shouting Viking power. I'm not going to argue with that. Well, you can't impress everybody, but certainly in first place. Thorfi Olafsson of Iceland getting ready. The giant truck is away for the last time, and Thorfi, like Joe Onosai, weighing in at 25 stones. This is a real challenge for this man. I think it's a very fast run, too. His fellow countryman, the champion, is in real danger of ending up in last place here, and that would be a big shock. Carlson wondering whether he can hang on to first place. Kolfi is close to the finishing line, but he is tiring. The pain in those arms is excruciating, but it's a very good effort. 47.64. He likes it. He's in third place.
Welcome to Aberdeen and to the first IFSA World Super Series Strongman competition of 2002. We have the 6 strongest men in the world who are here to battle it out, and we have a few wild cards who are going to try their luck against the titans of the world. Strongman sport actually originated here in Scotland. They had their Highland Games and started to invite power sporters from all over the world, and it evolved into a sport of its own, which still is very popular in Scotland, and this competition is followed by quite a bit of Scotsmen. We have people coming from all over the world, and there are a lot of strongmen who would have liked to be here but are not qualified to compete at this level. Here we have the lineup of our competitors. We have a couple of Americans. We have the Canadian giant Hugo Girard and the sunglasses up front there. We have the reigning world's strongest man, Sven Carlson, next to him.
This is the Viking reporting here from Aberdeen in the opening of the Super Series 2002. I'm here on the crusade from my motherland, Norway, to take home what's rightfully mine.
Sven Carlson is the young Viking. I am the old one, and I'm here to show that age do not matter.
He asked me to say something funny, but you know what? That ain't funny. That's super serious because we're Super Series.
Everybody talk how